1,500 miles southeast of Miami sits St. Lucia, an island nation smaller than the city of Chicago. 180,000 people, 2 volcanic peaks, 1 main road that loops the entire island. And like most places in the Caribbean, cricket is king here. For decades, football has been number 2. In March of 2021, St. Lucian football hit rock bottom. Complications from COVID and financial troubles forced the federation to make a very difficult decision: to withdraw entirely from the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. For many small footballing nations, this could have set the country back decades. But instead of crumbling under the pressure, the federation, led by President Lyndon Cooper, got back to work. And what was created over the next 5 years was absolutely incredible. A brand new semi-professional league, a first-of-its-kind sustainable financial system, and most importantly, for the first time in the nation's history, a clear pathway to the Concacaf Champions Cup. And that is what got JerseyBird's attention. In 2024, one of these new semi-pro clubs, Gros Islet Football Club, reached out to us and shared this incredible story. Immediately, I was in. So we signed with the club and began creating kits for the upcoming season. Our goal? Win the Concacaf Champions Cup. Statistically, it's nearly impossible, around a 1 in 10 million chance. But no one could have predicted what happened in our debut season with Gros Islet. A combination of victory, conflict, and ultimately tragedy led to one of the most memorable seasons the island had ever seen. In this video, I am covering it all: what it takes to actually reach the Concacaf Champions Cup, how this new semi-pro league is reshaping football in the Caribbean, and ultimately, how did our club perform in our debut season with them. This is the untold story of St. Lucian football. Let's start by looking at what it takes for our club to just reach the Concacaf Champions Cup, which is North America's version of Europe's Champions League. First, we have to win our league. Considering we won in 2023 and consistently compete for the title, the difficulty level here is hard, but it's definitely doable. After that, we must reach the finals of the Caribbean Football Union Club Shield, a tournament consisting of top clubs from the region's smaller leagues and islands like the Guyana Elite League, Dominica Premier League, and others. Difficulty level here is scary. No St. Lucian club has ever gone this far. From there, we enter the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup, which consists of the top clubs from the best leagues in the region, like Jamaica's Mount Pleasant, Trinidad's W Connection FC, and the Dominican Republic's Sabao FC. And again, we would need to reach the finals of this competition. Difficulty level, horrifying. But after that, we're in. Officially qualified for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, now in a tournament with all of the best clubs from all across North America, from Club America to Cruz Azul to Inter Miami. All we have to do here is just get hot, string a few wins together, and we'd have it. Our very own CONCACAF Champions Cup trophy. Difficulty level, incomprehensible. But the good news is our squad at Gros Islet is full of talent. In goal, we have Giovanni Detterville, number 77, our veteran goalkeeper who made his senior national team debut for St. Lucia way back in 2006, and he's still going strong. Along the defensive line, 6'4" Sebastian Ribaud anchors the defense, a staple in the lineup who also has national team experience. And on offense, Jaleel Evans and Rydell Stanislas lead the way, both of whom are currently on the senior national team roster. And for our head coach, we have the one and only Francis Baba Lastic, a former captain of the St. Lucian senior national team, a pro footballer for years in Trinidad and Tobago, and now an assistant coach for the national team side. The man knows what it takes to win at the highest level on this island because he's already done it. The club is also under the leadership of team manager Romario Lendor, a former U15 national team captain and international pro footballer who had returned home to lead the next generation of St. Lucian talent. Going into last season, the club had high expectations: win the league and advance to the CFU Club Shield to face top clubs from other Caribbean nations. To win the league, we had to first get into the playoff tournament, which consists of the top 4 clubs on the table after all 18 match weeks are played. The club produced a full kit launch showing off all the gear that JerseyBird created, and it made headlines across the island as it was another big sign of progress for an international brand to invest into St. Lucian football. And with our first 6 matches on the road, we needed to be locked in from the start. But before I recap the season, we have to talk about the St. Lucia Semi-Professional Football League and what exactly the federation has built since 2023, because it really is is incredible. St. Lucia never had a professional or semi-pro league. Players worked day jobs, trained pretty much when they could, and the best ones would leave the island because there was nowhere on St. Lucia to build a career. The system was bleeding talent. 2 years after St. Lucia withdrew from World Cup qualifiers, the Federation launched the St. Lucia Semi-Pro Football League, and so far it's been a massive success, turning heads from other neighboring nations in the region. First, the players get paid. Every registered player on a semi-pro contract receives a monthly stipend plus match fees. The players can earn up to around 380 USD per month, and the payments don't come through the clubs. They come directly from the government, a direct deposit every month, and it's the only system of its kind in the whole Caribbean. Semi-pro players in St. Lucia can now train as a footballer and pay their rent. That used to be completely impossible. Second, every single match is live streamed. Every fixture, every week, free to watch, and the league runs its own broadcasts, complete with commentary and full graphics. That means the league exists publicly now, and it's where we're about to pull all of these highlights from. And lastly, the league now has a road to Concacaf. For the first time ever, a St. Lucian club can advance to North America's most prestigious tournament, the Concacaf Champions Cup. And as I mentioned, it's statistically unlikely that we advance this far, but just having the pathway there completely changes the feel of the league. And that's why this season matters more than most. That's why we signed with Gros Islet. Not because winning the semi-pro league is the end goal, but because it's the first step on a road that literally did not exist just 2 years ago. Week 1, June 23rd against South Castries, a recently promoted side fresh off winning the second division. They had momentum, but we had to make a statement. We didn't even give them room to settle. In the 4th minute, Jaleel Evans opened the scoring. Troy Greenidge doubled the lead just before halftime, and in the 51st minute, Sherman Augustin put the third one home. By the final whistle, the scoreboard read 3-0. Perfect way to open this season's campaign, even with just 10 men for the last 7 minutes. Week 2, July 7th, away at Canries, again at Mindu Phillips Park. A mid-table side, the kind of match that you have to win on the road if you're expecting to win the league. Jardel Joseph put us in front in the 34th minute, going into halftime up 1-0 on the road, and we were in control. But then the game turned. Curtin Jones equalized in the 67th, and 4 minutes later, MacArthur Lewis flipped the lead 2-1 late in the second half. At this point, we were letting the match slip away. But in the 93rd minute, Sherman Augustin, who had just come off the bench in the 55th, rose up and pulled us level. 2-2 final score, a point pulled out at the very last minute. Not the result we wanted, but 1 point was better than none. Week 3 got rained out, a storm rolled in, and the match was postponed for a later date in the season. The calendar kept moving. Week 4, Choiseul. Choiseul plays a different brand of football than we do. We tend to control the game with possession. They play a chaotic, physical, and fast brand of football. You can't really outthink them. You just have to absorb their attacks and outplay them. And on this day, we struggled. We came in very thin, only 4 subs on the bench. 5 of our starting 11 were 30 years or older. Players were missing for other obligations, and we were up against a side that wants to physically wear you down. And our depth showed. 2-1 Choiseul, our first loss of the season. And the next week didn't get any easier. Week 5, on the road again, we score in the very first minute, and along our bench, everyone is feeling that we are in control, but then the goals kept coming in the wrong way. 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. By the final whistle, we had given up 5. 5-3 final score. That is back-to-back losses. Our record now stood at 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses. For a club that came into the season expecting to compete for the league, this was the first real moment of doubt. We sat mid-table, and as I mentioned earlier, only the top 4 teams enter a playoff for the chance to win the league, so if things didn't turn around, our season would see an early ending. After week 5, the season paused for Carnival, St. Lucia's biggest cultural celebration of the year, a week of street parades, costumes, and energy that takes over the entire island. Football stops, pretty much everything stops for the celebration. But tragically, one of our star players, Sherman Augustin, was fatally stabbed during the celebration. It was a tragic event that sent shockwaves through the entire St. Lucian football community. But the celebrations ended and the season continued. Week 6, August 20th, away at Dennery, our first match back. They score on us early in the 2nd minute, and then in the 47th, our keeper puts one in his own net, trying to deal with a cross, and now we're down 2-0 on the road, and things are not looking good. But then, Troy Greenidge pulled one back in the 58th, and 6 minutes later, Rydell Stanislas, who came from Dennery before, playing against his old club, curled in a free kick to make it level. 2-2 final. Not a win, but we'll take the point in a great comeback that could have been a lot worse. Week 7, September 7th, back home for real this time. The first 6 weeks of the season had all been road matches while the Gros Islet grounds were being built. Now they were finished, brand new stands, and a brand new name. The pitch was renamed the Francis Baba Lastic Grounds after our head coach, a former senior national team captain, a former pro in Trinidad and Tobago, and the current assistant of St. Lucia's senior national team. Jaleel Evans put us ahead in the 28th. Troy Greenidge doubled it in the 55th. Mabuya Valley got one back on us from the penalty spot in the 88th, but we held on and got the win 2-1, our first win in several weeks and our first win at home. After this, the run started. A draw at home against Central Castries, last season's finalists, 2-2. A loss at home to La Clary, the team that hadn't dropped a point all season. That was a 0-2 loss, our worst result of the year, but then we stopped losing. A 3-0 win away at South Castries, a 1-1 draw at Canneries, and then the Soufriere match happened. Soufriere scored against us in the 6th, Meki Stanislas equalized in the 20th, then Jaleel Evans completely took over. He scored in the 40th, he scored in the 53rd, then he scored again in the 56th. 3 goals in 16 minutes from the kid who grew up less than 10 minutes from our home pitch. 4-3. That's 4 matches unbeaten. Then came View Fort South. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. kickoff, an hour-and-a-half bus ride. Only 4 players on our bench, and we suffer a 3-1 loss. It's our first defeat in 6 matches, and it brought the question back, was our run real, or were we just on a fluke hot streak? That would be answered in the next 6 matches. Dennery, 3-0. The rescheduled Soufriere match from July that got rained out finally was played. 1-0 win. Mabuya Valley, another 1-0 win. Central Castries, 1-1 draw. Choiseul, the team that had handed us our first loss of the season, this time we take them down 4-2. That's 6 matches, 12 points out of 18 possible, 3 of them clean sheets, and the kind of football that we had been looking for all year. The final match of the regular season was at home against La Clary, and we drew 1-1. But it didn't matter because we were already through, 3rd on the table, above the line, and we were in the playoffs. After our Week 5 loss, we were 5th, 1 spot below the playoff line. Our season was slipping away, and a tragedy occurred that no one expected. But from that moment on, we had 7 wins, 4 draws, and just 2 losses. We climbed from 5th to 3rd, and we didn't just make the playoffs, we got home field advantage in the semifinal. Somewhere along the way, this team became a team playing for something bigger than itself. Now it was the time for playoffs. The playoff was a 4-team knockout at a neutral venue. Single match, win, and you advance to the final with a real chance at the league title in the CFU Club Shield. Lose and your season is over. Our semifinal was against View Fort South, the team that had finished 2nd in the table and the same team we lost to twice in the regular season. So we knew it wasn't going to be an easy match. December 6th rolled around. Soufriere Mini Stadium was the venue, and the match started off intense. Both teams feeling each other out. A yellow card to View Fort South's defender in the 22nd, and on both sides, neither chances were really coming through. But then, in the 43rd minute, we get a penalty.
Well, a finisher is a finisher is a finisher.
Jaleel just giving him the eyes, basically, and sending him the wrong direction. And with this penalty, Gros leads in the semifinals versus View Fort South, 1-0.
Jaleel Evans, who else, stepped up to the spot, and he buried it. 1-0 Gros Islet. 2 minutes from halftime, we lost Aramis Gilbert to injury. Troy Greenidge subbed on in his place, and the mood on our side was still very positive. We were going into the break up a goal on the 2nd best team in the league, just 50 minutes away from a final. And then this happened.
Oh, the strike there!
Henry.
3 minutes into first half stoppage time, Moses Henry equalized, and it's 1-1. 2 minutes after that, still in stoppage time, Saviola Elva put Vieux-Fort South ahead. The same team that had just fallen down 1-0 going into the half somehow walked into the locker room leading 2-1. We came out in the second half and threw everything we had at them. We subbed in new attacker after new attacker, and by the 87th minute, we were so committed to chasing the equalizer that we brought on Stanley Cherry, our 33-year-old right back, on as a sub, the last roll of the dice. Unfortunately, it didn't come. In the 86th minute, Vieux-Fort South scored the third through Javik McFarlane, 3-1, and a red card 3 minutes later that didn't even matter. Final whistle blew, and our season was over.
Ball goes into the box. And that's it, folks. 3 goals to 1. Vieux-Fort South into the finals. At the first asking, newly promoted Vieux-Fort South, winners of the Super League last season.
So that's the story. We climbed from the brink of elimination back to the top of the table. We made the playoffs. We even took the lead in the playoffs, but we came up short, and we did not get the chance to play in the CFU Club Shield, so we will not get to face clubs from other nations or continue on the path to the Concacaf Champions Cup. But we will be back next season, and I will make this video every single year, either until I retire or until Gros Islet wins a Concacaf Cup. Along the way, this year, I learned so much about football in St. Lucia, and not just there, but how unique each nation can be when it comes to building their own football system. The Federation could have just given up after COVID, accepted defeat, and returned to what the island had always known, but instead they doubled down, built something sustainable, and are now a model for semi-pro football across the entire region. And I wouldn't be surprised if other nations follow their lead soon. So there you have it, the untold story of St. Lucian football, still far from finished. Thank you all for watching. Drop a sub if you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.